In the heart of the South, barbecue is part of a legacy rich with food, family, and craftsmanship. For 5 decades, Southern Pride has built barbecue smokers that honor this legacy. Crafted with meticulous attention to performance and durability, these smokers are a labor of love. The fit and finish on every smoker reflects the craftsmanship of the past, while infusing modern innovation into every design. Built to withstand the rigors of daily use, these smokers are designed for reliability and efficiency. Whether in family-owned joints or national restaurant chains, pitmasters and chefs trust Southern Pride to deliver unmatched performance.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Deuce Raymond Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Jared Robertson of Southern Pride. Jared, welcome to the show.
Hey Deuce, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Handcrafted in Alamo, Tennessee, each smoker is made from the finest materials, including durable 304 stainless steel. With automatic controls, Southern Pride smokers streamline the process of making great barbecue. Equipped with precise digital thermostats, they maintain consistent temperatures with ease. No more constant monitoring. The intuitive design ensures a reliable cooking experience every time. Maintenance is straightforward, featuring access doors and removable covers, allowing pitmasters and chefs to focus on what they do best, creating exceptional barbecue.
Oh man, well I really appreciate you taking the time, and I feel like we have had a relationship for so long, but there's still so much I don't know about the history of Southern Pride and everything. And yesterday you sent over some awesome pictures that just, I could imagine for you, just brings back all your childhood memories and things like that. Because I know we have similar pictures like that with Sweet Baby Ray's, and it's really fun to look at those old pictures.
Yeah, our history is pretty incredible. This may not be a very interesting story to a lot of folks, but if you're at all, enjoy any American dream stories, this may suit you all right. So we've got a wonderful story. I'm very proud to be a part of it, and have a ton of people, both past and present, that are, that I have to thank for the success that we've had and continue to have. So
that's amazing.
I'm looking forward to talking about it with you.
Offering a wide range of models with multiple configurations, there is a Southern Pride smoker for every application. The flexible product line meets diverse needs and budgets. Southern Pride provides expert guidance from model selection to operation. Investing in a Southern Pride smoker means embracing a legacy. Each smoker represents a commitment to quality, durability, and performance, crafted with pride in every detail. Discover the craftsmanship of Southern Pride barbecue smokers, where every model is built to last, and experience the difference that true quality makes.
So you're third generation, correct? So it was actually started with your grandfather?
Yeah, technically I'm third generation. My dad and grandfather started at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And my grandfather was born in 1903.
Wow.
And for anybody thinking, oh my goodness, we're going back that far, like this, I don't know about this, but it has some relevancy when the whole story kind of comes together. But he was born in 1903, and he was too young for World War I and too old for World War II. So an important part of that is he stayed alive for us to all, get to experience all of this great stuff. So
yeah.
He most of his life he was self-employed or an independent contractor, and he did everything from selling picnic tables to negotiating easements, and he even built a couple of motels.
Okay.
So his name was BB Robertson, and he had a great design mind and understood construction, probably more than the average Joe.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have my father until 1948, when my grandfather was 45 years old.
Oh, wow.
So a little later in life.
Mm-hmm.
So after my dad graduated high school in 1966, my dad went and worked in some oil fields in Texas, where he learned how to weld. And then he worked in Baldwin, Illinois as a pipe fitter for a little while. But after a couple years of that kind of work, he really wasn't kind of finding something that was going to work for him long term. So he joined the Army.
Okay.
And when he got to the Army, he knew how to type, which at that time for a male to be able to type was a little bit unheard of. So he quickly, it didn't make him an officer, but it kind of elevated his rank a little bit to where he was not at the base level. And during his time in the Army, he kind of figured out how to take care of his superiors.
Okay.
He just kind of knew how to work the system. He knew how to schedule time off for people. He could maybe get some things that some of the superiors wanted. So that's kind of his first introduction to hospitality.
Yeah.
As far as taking care of other people and kind of knowing how to a certain degree, work the system, but at the same time, making people happy. Making people happy. That's what, big part of what hospitality is. So
100%.
This is kind of where it all starts to come together from my grandfather's background with all what he knew how to do and everything that my dad gained up in the first, 23, 24 years of his life. They got together in 1973. So my dad was 24, 25, and my grandfather was 75. So my grandfather was pretty much just looking for a career for my dad for him to make a living. So for whatever reason, they thought maybe trying out a barbecue restaurant was a good idea.
And this is where now? Where are we?
This is in Decatur, Illinois.
Okay, that's what I thought.
In 1973, they bought a vacant restaurant building. I don't know what it was before, but a restaurant that had unfortunately not made it. And they had come across an offset smoker, a good size one, larger than what most people were probably used to at the time. But it was a very large offset smoker, and they acquired it and took it to the restaurant.
Was that the big square one that they had in the images?
Yes.
Okay. See, that when I saw that kind of looked like the old Texas-style pits that you see at the restaurants down there, where they're flat with the lid and then the firebox is off to the side.
Yeah. Well, somehow one ended up in or around Decatur, Illinois.
Interesting.
And so they got their hands on it and they relocated it. I think the picture that I sent you actually shows my dad. That's my dad in the photograph. And it's kind of out in the middle of the field. Okay. So somehow or other they discovered that and took it to the restaurant there that they named Robertson's Barbecue Hickory Pit. And pretty much on day one, I think my grandfather realized how much time and dedication it takes to prepare barbecue on a smoker like that. It was in one of the pictures you see of him standing in front of the pit with a camper next to him. So that was there because he was sleeping at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I totally am fine with all the glory of what it takes to do that, but to run a restaurant and operate a machine like that and then serve the product the next day, that just, very laborious and exhausting and hard to have consistent product day in and day out.
For sure.
He just realized that it was just a tremendous amount of work. So with his kind of mechanical mind, he figured out that if he could set a thermostat and a way to provide fresh air to the wood box, that would help stoke the fire. So he cobbled up a way that they put a thermostat on the smoker, and they took an old vacuum and went to a scrapyard and bought some old vacuum cleaners. The old kind is you and I are the same age, so you'd remember this. Yeah. They had reverse airflow.
Okay.
So they conjured this up to where basically when the temperature got to a low enough point, the thermostat would recognize and it would kick on that vacuum cleaner, and it would stoke the fire.
Wow. So
that was his first step in automating the process as far as regulating the temperature, which, as you very well know, is as much of a key
the
feature.
Very first rendition of a barbecue guru.
Yeah. And
oh my gosh.
So they did that, and then that they just kind of kept working on it, and it got to where I think they somehow got a fan inside to help circulate the heat and smoke, because this was stationary rack. There was no there was no rotisserie inside or anything, and I know that there was, I believe, some kind of lever that would allow basically a baffle door to rise and lower to help kind of, if the flame got hot, you kind of choke it out, or if it was cooling off, you could open that up. But so after a while of realizing that this was allowing them to get some sleep, at least for a few hours at a time, and maybe it wasn't for the whole 12 hours for brisket or 16 hours for brisket. So they did that, and then they thought, hey, this is working really well for us. So maybe we could try to build one of these and see if this would work for other restaurateurs.
Wow.
So
If you have any doubt that a Southern Pride oven will smoke your barbecue with more ease, at less cost, and with more customer appeal, taste drive a Southern Pride barbecue pit today. Contact your dealer or Southern Pride directly to arrange a test cooking to convince you. Southern Pride. Only the best is good enough.
That is so cool. I mean, that's like a real invention from necessity, and it makes so much sense. But, you know, it took someone to really think of it first, and that's just amazing that it's your family, your father and grandfather.
They say that necessity is the mother of all creations, and, you know, every time I cook on this equipment, and it amazes me that my damn grandfather built something that I actually get to cook really good food on today. It's just mind-boggling.
I know, and like for someone like me, I take it for granted because I've always cooked on a Southern Pride. Like, I have some experience cooking, you know, with different methods and managing fire, and that's just part of my interest in barbecue in general and my chefiness, if you will, you know, like to do it differently. But from the first day we opened our first Sweet Baby Ray's restaurant, we were cooking on a Southern Pride, and just baffled on how moist and juicy that meat. I remember the first time ever cooking on a Southern Pride, and we cooked like pork loins and chickens, and it was just the color and the moisture was just, I mean, I was sold instantly, and I'm not blowing smoke by any stretch. It was like very mind-boggling to me, because before that, Dave and I were playing in his backyard with an old Brinkman offset and couldn't get the pork shoulders tender. I mean, it was just like, you know, rookie cookie, as Uncle Dave would say. You know, we just really didn't have that much barbecue experience from a traditional smoky method. And the first time we had food come off that Southern Pride, and we actually got the first Southern Pride, I think we bought it used from like Charlie Robinson or something like that, and it was a 500 on a trailer.
Yeah.
And our plan was to get that into the restaurant, and that wasn't happening. That's when we got the 650, the single door unit in our current restaurant that we still cook on today. And then we ended up giving that 500. We used it for years on the trailer at different events and when we needed more capacity. And then Dave actually gave that to Big Ed, who has been a friend and been successful as he opened up a newer, bigger barbecue restaurant just recently, earlier this year. But yeah, that's just an awesome story. And what I was interested in, so looking at those old pictures, was barbecue kind of always in, like, do you remember having that barbecue as a kid growing up? Was that something that was like a staple at your house?
So it was, but I mean, I certainly have a different background than, I mean, almost all you guys, you know. I wasn't in restaurants. I wasn't in a grocery store. We weren't in the food service industry. It wasn't like there was just, like my grandfather wasn't a barbecue maniac.
So the restaurant was long gone by the time you came around.
Yeah. So that was in 1973 that they opened the restaurant. They built and sold their first smoker in 1976.
Okay.
That's when they actually took, like what you've seen thousands of times, they took a barrel and cut the end off of it. And then actually had a smaller barrel. My dad climbed inside and welded gussets in it, and they inserted a second barrel and put the end on. And then on the top, they created ports, and my dad would pour vermiculite down into it. And it was a very slow process. It took, I think he said it took like 18 hours.
What is vermiculite?
I don't exactly know. It's some sort of, just something that he was using for insulation.
For insulation? Okay.
It's,
Hi, I'm Ray Lombardi, here with your mold fact of the day. Today's fact comes in the form of a question that we will try to answer for you. What is vermiculite? Vermiculite is a hydrated basaltic mineral with some unusual properties. It has a unique physical structure, which takes the form of crystalline layers, like mica. Secondly, there is water trapped inside vermiculite. When the vermiculite is heated, the water turns to steam, forcing the mineral to expand, and the layers fold out like an accordion. Before 1990, Much of the world's supply of vermiculite came from a mine near Libby, Montana.
It's got a weird consistency. There's actually one in the kitchen, and some of it's coming out now, and it just almost looks like small toothpicks, kind of like mushed together. And
Interesting.
but something, the consistency of it, he would pour some in, and he'd have to let it settle, and he'd pour some in and have to let it settle. So
Okay.
it wasn't very manufacturable is where I'm trying to get at as far as using barrels and putting in the vermiculite, but
Gotcha.
it was still a double wall insulation, and this was a 700-pound machine. It's one that I also sent you a picture of. It was a very large machine, and they sold their first one in '76, and they ended up selling 6 in the first year, 13 the next year, and we've now sold over 25,000 both domestically and internationally. So,
wow,
a number we're very proud of. And then in most companies, that's, they do that in a month, but we're very proud of that.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have a Southern Pride smoker. Like, that's been a dream tool of mine since I was a young cook.
Southern Pride used to have pits in the Winn-Dixie stores. And I used to go to the Winn-Dixie and I'd sit there and salivate over that fine pit.
I heard that Southern Pride is the Cadillac of smokers. I love Cadillacs, so I had to have one. Like I said, we do a lot of modern type stuff here, and this is a modern piece of equipment.
I mean, Southern Pride is the way to go. I mean, I can set the temperature, be confident it'll run all night.
I don't have to throw logs in and watch this thing all night and hope that the winds don't change, et cetera, et cetera. Push my temperature in, walk away.
And the machine does the rest. And it really takes the questions out of barbecue. You can make it the same way every time.
Simple, easy, consistent, and always good.
Same product every single time.
Whether you're putting 10 briskets in or whether you're cooking 110 briskets, and that's why we use Southern Pride.
Man, if you could fit it in here, I'll smoke it. Elephant? No, we didn't do elephant.
On Saturdays, we go through about 1,000 pounds of meat. So that's I don't even have space for it anymore for the meat. I don't have any freezers, so as it comes in, it's going straight into the smoker.
Pretty much, another main reason I got the smoker was because I can roll up to an event with a huge sum of pork butts, roll those, pull them out. That's money. That's the most food cost money you're gonna make off of anything is gonna be pork butts out of a smoker, and plus they come out ready to go. Having a smoker means that I'm able to preserve more meat and in the end make more money. For me, I like to make bacon, sausages, charcuteries. It preserves my food for me, and it can turn an inexpensive cut like a pork butt into a $10 or $12 plate.
Man, our customer base is the best. We get everybody in here. We get your traditional barbecue dudes. We get soccer moms. We get the hipsters. We get young kids. We get the families. We get everything. We have something for everybody at Smoke, and everybody loves smoke.
I love it all. Pork, brisket. I couldn't cook a brisket on a grill. I wouldn't even know how to start.
There's no better way to reach the white collar, blue collar, every collar than with smoked meat. Like that's a universal love. And rolling around on this truck with a smoker, I basically have a homing beacon. When I'm smoking and I'm at an event, this is the first place they're coming.
Southern Pride has been rolling hard with me. I mean, I definitely wouldn't buy another smoker brand. This thing is reliable. It's like the Toyota of smokers. Lasts forever.
What is so good? Ask me what's wrong with it. I won't have an answer for you. I love Southern Pride. I mean, I've been cooking on one for 25 years, and it's the best piece of equipment I think that's ever been made.
There's no other product on the market that has the quality of Southern Pride, and that's why we use it. Whether it's in a restaurant, catering, or competition, it sets us apart.
But the point that I'd like to make is, like, you're good and bad for your own business because your equipment lasts so long.
Yes, sir.
We bought one new one because the restaurant needed that slimmer configuration.
Yep.
But then the other two, I take that back. We bought 2 new ones because we had the competition one too. But then the other 2 we have are used from Smoky Bones that went out of business, 2 700s, and they're 25 years old, and we use them every single day, and they're nonstop, and they just, we probably replaced some fans and belts and gaskets, but I mean, it's the guts are all there, and it just does its job as long as you take care of it and clean it out and treat it right.
which a lot of people don't do. But you getting those from Smoky Bones, you can imagine those were being used.
Oh, for sure.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
Even when you're unloading them and loading them, you're still putting it in use. The rotisserie is advancing, and you're still. I mean, these things just don't ever rest. So, no, to your point, our used equipment really is our biggest competitor. We lose out more used new sales because somebody finds a used one in their territory. But hey, you get on eBay, like it retains their value incredibly well, which I think is a testament to Southern Pride in general, and certainly what we're manufacturing today. So
right.
To the good, also, we get the used parts business. That's a huge part of our company. When the economy suffers and people are a little slower to buy new equipment, they want to refurbish and kind of clean up what they got. That helps us in the tough times.
Yeah. Similar
to the automobile industry, people will start, they'll maybe buy an alternator or something that they wouldn't normally be time to trade it in or sell it off. So it's on one hand, it's a challenge, but on the other, it is a revenue stream for us.
That makes sense. I didn't think about that part of it.
And a testament to what our equipment is the value of it. So the smoker that's in our kitchen was put into operation in 1977.
Okay.
In Perryville, Missouri. It's Ewald BBQ. They're 4th generation.
Wow.
And they pulled it out in 2018 and replaced it with an SPK 500. They were still cooking meat in that smoker when the driver pulled up to deliver the 500.
Holy cow.
So I found out about that, and I got a hold of Ewald's and said, hey, you got a relic there. Like, that's an heirloom. Like, that's something I'd really love to get our hands on.
Yeah.
And is there a way I can buy that from you? Because that's not something that we do. We can't buy Southern Pride proper. We don't buy used equipment and make sales.
Sure.
We sell everything through distributors. Some of them will do that.
Yeah.
So I offered them, it was tough to give them a number. I didn't want to lowball our equipment.
Yeah.
But I gave them a number that I felt was fair, and they quickly said yes. And it turns out it was going to a scrapyard. So they really didn't need anything for it. But, it was also kind of nice to offer them a little token of appreciation for being a customer since 77 and having a leap of faith of buying an SPK 500, 40 years later. So
the unique cooking process of every Southern Pride smoker has redefined the expectations for one of the most profitable food service businesses. Everybody knows that when it comes to barbecue, you cook slow and low. Low temperatures for long periods of time. But the Southern Pride method includes low temperature, indirect heat, and several features inside the smoker that create an even cook from left to right and top to bottom. And Southern Pride smokers are very user-friendly, designed to reduce labor costs and to give you the freedom of not being tethered to the cooking device. Put all that together, and your restaurant or catering company will consistently deliver the best ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, and prime rib you've ever tasted. How? We could talk all day about the quality of design and construction, but you can see that in every unit we build. Gordon Ramsay refers to us as the Rolls-Royce of smokers. You can feel and see the difference within seconds. Our purpose here is to explain how Southern Pride has maintained the dominant market share for all the serious barbecue entrepreneurs worldwide.
Well, I don't know what it is about the SPK 500, but that's the first one I cooked on. And then we actually borrowed a trailer one year for 2 years, borrowed Andy's trailer, Arizona Barbecue Company or something like that. You might know who I'm talking about. But he had two 500s with an oven in the middle on a big trailer for those rib fests. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, I always felt like the SPK 500, there's something about that size and everything. The meat that comes out of there is just the best that I can remember having. I don't know why, but I won plenty of trophies with them too, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, well, close to 100. Did you got? I don't know if you broke 100, but I know you got awfully close.
Yeah, no, we got enough, so that's good. But I don't know why. I just had a soft spot in my heart for the 500 for sure.
They all perform the same, but I've heard other people say the same thing. Like there's a particular model that they have that they just, you couldn't pry from their cold dead hands. They just, these things people become emotionally invested in these. Like we've pulled smokers out before, and people have said, it's one of the best compliments we've ever had. They say, this smoker gave me my life back. Like I get, before I was hovering over this, I was in the pit room, or I was hovering over the smoker all this time. And now this has allowed me to load up, hundreds or thousands of dollars of product and go home at night and spend some time with my family and wake up in the next morning and have very consistent, high quality barbecue. So it's just rewarding to hear things like that.
That is amazing for sure. How do you get more business? Like, how do people find you or find out about you? Is it usually like referrals from other people that use them, or is it just new barbecue restaurants and they're shopping around for what kind of smoker they're going to put in? Or how do you come across new clients or new customers?
Primarily word of mouth. I mean, if we didn't have word of mouth, I don't think we'd make it another year. If it weren't people talking about it and experiencing them at a restaurant, which I consider word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The internet has done a tremendous amount for us, for people to be able to do research and just search commercials, commercial smokers, industrial smokers. YouTube's been great for us.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily word of mouth. We have distributors that also do local advertising. We have 20 distributors throughout the United States, one in Canada, one in Mexico, and one in Germany. And so they we kind of leave it up to them to do more of the local, regional kind of advertising. We don't even allow them actually to do national advertising. But we met at NRA. Maybe 2006, 7, 8, sometime around there. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like one of the first times I went there for sure.
Yeah, you and your Uncle Dave and Dylan Light visited the booth. That was the first time we all met. So we did that for a long, long time. My dad started going to NRA back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
So trade shows have always been good. Cater Source is a place that we've been.
Yeah.
A lot of the smaller shows, though, like Cater Source, you go once or twice, and it's almost like we saturate the market as far as trying to justify the expense of activating at those. They're usually in Vegas. So by the time we pack up this big, heavy equipment in these metal containers, and we ship them out there, and you know how expensive all this
can cost. You got a big footprint.
Yeah. So like year 3, everybody's like, "Oh, hey, Southern Pride, great to see you. Yeah, we have one." And there's like, okay. So, but we rely on people basically mainly for word of mouth. And, we had a lot of luck for a long time with kind of being in the background on TV shows, diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Oh, yeah.
Barry Sorkin, they did one with him there, Smoke. Guy Fieri was there.
There was, yeah, I definitely can picture that for sure. And what's interesting about that is that there's so much, for whatever reason, that traditional linear TV, there's so much credibility wrapped up in that. When somebody sees something on TV, it's like the real deal. Now there's social media and people are bombarded with stuff every day, but it still doesn't have the same cachet as it does on linear TV, I feel, for some reason.
Yeah. No, I can't tell you how many, I would have to guess at millions of dollars of exposure we had between that and Man vs. Food. We were even at kind of I don't know if this is good or not, but we were on that Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs.
Oh, really?
He climbed inside a 1400 at somebody's restaurant, and he had a shovel, and he's shoveling out all this stuff. And
seriously,
it's kind of, I was like, man, that's cool, but also, I don't know, that's not great that somebody's letting the pit, get that far.
That's like
that far behind. So
yeah.
Show me the smokers. All right, please. Wow, look at them. I mean, do you know what hurts more than anything? The fact that we have the most amazing equipment, and yet the product, brisket, turkey, chicken, smoked in these. Then we slice it, bag it, chill it, then we reheat it in the microwave. Does that make sense? Could you have another, please? Wow, look at that. So how long have they been in?
How long have these been cooking? 2.5 hours.
So they went in 2.5 hours ago. So they're ready for dinner.
Yeah, ready.
These, little taste. Now, That's delicious. That's what I'm screaming for. They're ready. They're delicious. We're reheating yesterday's wings, and they're just immaculate. Natalie, don't open the door and then disappear. I need to talk to you urgently. So we have Rolls-Royce of smokers here. Pretty amazing. And you got these that are literally minutes off the smoker.
Right.
And yet we can't hold them and serve.
That's what we were trying to figure out.
It's a no-brainer.
Natalie hasn't proven to be able to run this restaurant. It's not any structure, it's just a bunch of guys doing their own things.
That does not make sense. How much do those smokers cost?
They
Roughly.
cost $17,000 each.
17 grand each.
Yes.
So here you are, cooking to perfection and reheating the food in a $200 microwave. How does that make sense?
That's like any exposure is good exposure, I guess.
Yeah, for the most part, people wouldn't really notice that we're back there unless they're an enthusiast or somebody that's kind of a little more in the game one way or another. You know, you step outside of the food service industry and we're virtually unknown. I mean, I think competition-wise, BBQA, KCBS, MBN, those guys kind of know, have some familiarity with us. But outside of that, because we don't have anything residential, most folks don't know who we are.
Right. Now, you guys did work on something residential at one point. I thought I saw something online about a smaller unit.
Yeah, we had a rotisserie that we tried to bring out, and it was about 150 pound. I mean, it's 150 pound capacity. And we made it just the inner liner to try to keep the price down. It didn't have insulation, it didn't have sheeting, and it just looked different. And all trying to keep the price under $10,000. But, we're still using a burner, we're still using the control, we still have the convection fan, we still have the rotisserie motor. So, I mean, you still have a lot of the components that still cost a lot of money. So that ended up evolving into the MLR 150, which we basically just took that rotisserie and then put it in a more of a family, more of a Southern Pride, as you know it, with the double wall insulation and it fits the family. And
that's what we used for a number of years when we were going out on competitions. And I mean, it definitely caught some attention because nobody else had one of those. There was maybe one or two on the circuit, I think, but not many. And it's a real piece of equipment. I mean, it's heavy duty, has the big casters and everything. But I love cooking on that. I definitely felt like I had an advantage with my chef background and cooking on that thing. I definitely had an advantage, I think.
Well, one of the favorite things in the competition world when somebody sees that, there's just so much debating about barbecue in general, from how you spell it to how you cook it, fast side out, dry seasoning, raw, it's endless. But that's good because people are talking about it and people are passionate about it. But one of the best compliments we get from the competition world when they see a unit like that is, well, you're cheating.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. I get wanting to sit up all night and stoke the fire and, have a sip of whiskey. And I get all that, but that's not practical when it comes down to trying to make a living at this and try to have a good work-life balance and be profitable. It's just...
Hi, everyone. I'm Bob D'Ambrosio from Kendale Products. We're the Canadian distributor for Southern Pride smokers and Broaster pressure fryers. But today's video is all about Southern Pride. We have a lineup of smokers consisting of stationary rack smokers and rotisserie units that can accommodate your needs in any food service operation. The name of the game with Southern Pride smokers is simplicity perfected. Each model is designed to remove variables from your cook cycle so you can guarantee the best, consistent results cook after cook, hour after hour, day after day. The units are built with only the best components. We're talking 304 stainless steel, R7 fire retardant insulation, and oversized rotisserie motors, oversized fan motors, and controls that are designed specifically for use in Southern Pride smokers and nothing else. Whatever the needs of your barbecue or gourmet restaurant, I'm confident we can meet them with one of our Southern Pride smokers. We start with the Smoke Chef, the SC300. This is an electric smoker that burns wood chips. Up from there, we have an SRG 400, which is larger, burns gas, burns whole logs, and then aside from that, we have an entire line of rotisserie models. Everything from a 150-pound capacity MLR 150. Up from there, we have the SPX 300, the SPK 500, SP 700, and the SPK 1400 Monster. Each one of our model names tells you how many pounds of food it can cook at one time. So our 300 cooks 300 pounds. Our 150 cooks 150 pounds. And the 1400, believe it or not, does 1400 pounds of meat at one time. No matter which unit you choose to cook on, whether it's inside or outside, our smokers are ready to cook within 5 minutes of delivery. Our electric smoke chef plugs into the wall and can be fired up immediately. Every other model needs just 120, a power source, and a gas line, and they can be fired up right away. As soon as you take delivery of your Southern Pride smoker, you're going to be reducing labor costs and increasing consistency and reliability in your food quality and in your cooking power. Now that we've got your attention, I'm sure you have a few questions for us, and we love chatting barbecue. You can give us a call on the phone, check out our website, or find us on Instagram and Facebook. You can even book a live demo right here in our test kitchen where we can cook for you and show you what these things are really made of. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the other videos on our channel.
You know, I don't know too many people that don't try to get away from it. You know, if I don't want to speak out of turn, and I don't know necessarily this to be factual, but like Aaron Franklin, he kind of migrated into starting to sell the pits, and I feel like he kind of tried to remove himself from the smoke.
Well, I've had this conversation with other people too, and like when you're running an Aaron Franklin type restaurant or the Burnt Bean Company or those, it's at the highest level, and those owners and operators are there, but you can't take that restaurant and duplicate it 100 times over because it won't have the same love and the same feel. And the reason those restaurants are so special and do so great is because that is their time and attention and everything. But, you know, for what we're hoping to do with Deuces Wild is make a model that can be duplicated. Is the food going to be the best ever in the world? I don't know, but it's going to be consistent and it's going to be great because we're going to use Southern Pride smokers and we're going to train our team right. And they're going to have, like you were saying, a work-life balance. They're not going to stay up all night and everything. And I think that those restaurants are special and there's a place for them. But you can only take them so far with that style of cooking, for sure.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, I get that it's the genuine barbecue, and my hat's off to them. Like, it's everything about it I love, and some of the best barbecue I've had's come off of those. But it's a labor of love, and it's hard to be consistent and repeatable and duplicate that. To your point, if you ever want to have a second location, man, you just split all your efforts in half. Now you've got your, what are you doing with your kitchen manager? Are they, you're already probably killed them at the first store.
Right.
So there's just so many obstacles to try to duplicate that without an automated system like what we have.
Please welcome Deuce Raymond.
This is the second class. Is everybody all relaxed and settled in? Good, because I'm not. When campaign asked me to come and talk about barbecue, I was excited and honored, but then I asked her where the conference is, and she says Austin, Texas. I'm like, oh, great, no pressure there.
We did a presentation at Caterers last year, and it was basically how to incorporate barbecue into your existing catering business, because catering businesses, they have all the elements in place, that all the hard work is done with, all their processes for loading the trucks, getting the systems and getting the orders in the system, their culinary team, operations team, sales team. But if they had, a Southern Pride that did a lot of the heavy lifting for them, adding barbecue, once you have all those systems and policies and procedures in place, could be some low-hanging fruit for somebody. There's going to be some training and some education involved, but it's something that, barbecue is so great for catering because it's the large cuts produce so many individual portions. If you're taking a chicken breast, having to trim it and season it and sear each one, it's a lot different than taking a whole pork shoulder or a whole brisket out and being able to slice it and get 35 portions out of one piece of meat.
And it holds really well.
And it holds
well. It takes very little labor to do a massive amount, I mean, I still consider the people that operate a lot of the people that operate our smokers are still pitmasters. But you don't have to be a pitmaster to operate our smoker. As the commercial kitchen is one of the harshest environments of anywhere on earth. There's a tremendous amount of turnover. So, you're looking at entry-level wage folks that are operating this equipment. They're using tongs to advance the rotisserie. they're taking their wood logs and they're chunking it into the firebox, and they slam that firebox to shut the door, and then it bends your flame spreader. The owner operator, if they do it, they take care of it. But for other folks, it's just they're just trying to get to the day and live their lives. So it's but
people are rough on their equipment back there. There's no doubt about it.
And I've got some pictures of Charlotte Motor Speedway has two 700s that I stumbled across about 10 years ago. I'm a NASCAR fan, and went to a race. And I was literally just walking around the track, and I just, lo and behold, I walk up to these two 700s. And I was amazed and, just shocked. They didn't have handles on the front. They were using wire to, keep the door closed. They were using milk cartons as for the burner cover. I will have to definitely need to send you these pictures. I'm standing in front of it, and I'm just as proud as can be, because they look like they've literally been through a war zone.
Oh my
And I got somebody's attention. I said, guys, these things, man, you ever think about replacing them? And they were quick. No, absolutely not. It was more than a no. It was more of a hell no. They're like, man, these things, you're not prying these out of our cold dead hands. They're seasoned. We know how to operate them. They just loved them. But you won't believe it until I show you these pictures of the kind of abuse that these things have been through. And they were using them that day. So
we're kind of put up with the task of being creative in ways that it shows the versatility of our beer and everything that we can do with it. So that's probably the number one thing that we have to think about. We have to really take the beer outside the box. And I was like, Sam, we should really think about smoking meats more and barbecued items, because they just work so well with Budweiser and a lot of our brands that we should really start thinking about creating these products. And as we were looking at that, we're going to need some of the equipment to do so. There's hundreds of years of tradition that we have to, withhold. We have to say, hey, this is a long time coming, and we can't do anything that's a B product. Everything has to be an A+. So if we're gonna do that, then when we partner and we work with something, it also needs to be an A+. Because anything that we do, when we take to our superiors, it has to be right the first time. There's a very small margin of error in our world. We're under a lot of pressure and to produce the best that we can. And we can only do that with the equipment that we have, has to be the best. So our brands are world renowned. Budweiser is known all over the world. We can say it's the king of beer, and it is, because it's the best. So when we're going to do something like that, we need the best things to do so, and that's why we chose Southern Pride, because we believe it's the best.
I smoked some brisket and ribs last week, and the one we have upstairs, a smaller version of this.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It came out awesome. Very consistent product. Yeah. That's what we're looking for, as Vito said earlier. Our Budweiser brand, all of our beers, they're top notch. So that's the product that we need to turn out of, a Southern Pride smoker or something that we want to put out on the market.
We're the corporate chefs of Anheuser-Busch, the biggest and greatest brewery in the world. We choose what we want to work with. And this is what we chose because, again, we're not about a B product. We're only A+ products because of the tradition that goes into our products. We don't really have the time to mess around with anything that's inferior. We want the best.
Southern Pride makes quality equipment, and we're looking for quality product to come out of the equipment. So very user-friendly. It's an awesome machine. It's great.
Sam and I have worked on wing recipes that we're selling into large chains, that we've done different brining and whatnot, trying different wood. For me, it's becoming quite an obsession because it produces such great product.
As the president of a family business, what are some of the hard lessons that you've learned and some of the challenges you've had to overcome?
That's a great question. Trying not to let emotion influence decisions is probably at the top of that list. My dad was a pretty emotional guy. He was very entrepreneurial. I could never do this. I could never start a company. You could never give me all the money in the world and me in earnest start a company and get it off the ground and operate it. And conversely, he wasn't ever satisfied. He just needed more R&D. He needed bigger, just more of everything. And one day I actually told him, I said, Dad, I'm amazed that you did this. I could never be an entrepreneur. And he said, well, likewise, I can't do what you're doing. I just don't have the patience for it. It's just not, he was running a 30-year company. When I got involved, the company was 30 years old. He was running the company like it was a startup. And there's a lot of fun to that. And I shadowed him, and I was, he almost encouraged me to do it that way. But as time went on, he just wasn't ever satisfied with the pace that the things were getting done and the process that it takes to execute it properly and to always put your best foot forward. And I mean, quality was always at the top, but he just wanted to grow and expand. And the one thing that he and I certainly, where we were different on those levels, from him being an entrepreneur and me being more of a business manager, the one thing that we both have definitely, I think, excelled at is keeping ourselves surrounded with the right people, both past and present. We've had the best employees that anybody could ever ask for.
Yeah,
and we have some long-term employees. One of our, I'm cautious to name names because there's so many people that I would have to highlight. But
yeah,
we've got a guy here in our tech support department that he started off when he was 18 as a janitor. And he grew into the service department. He's now been with us for 44 years. And he ended up actually getting into the business himself. He cooks barbecue on the weekends. It's Big Blue's Q. Sam Blue, he's more like an uncle to me than an employee.
That's awesome.
He's kind of got a tiger by the tail. They used to have a spring and fall gathering. His wife, Gail, they would sell antiques and bring in people, basically vendors from all over the place. I mean, thousands of people would come in on Creel Springs, this little town in southern Illinois. And Sam started cooking a little bit here and there, and it quickly became like a destination. So he's now got 2 SPK 500s. He's built a little shed. Like he's got a tiger by the tail. I joke with him all the time. He comes to Southern Pride. He comes to work to rest. Because, he busts his tail on the weekend. He's here at 5 o'clock and goes home and preps the meat and gets everything ready, or actually really Thursday night for Friday and Saturday. And but they do it right. They offer it till they sell out, and you got to come early, and they do pre-orders and all that stuff. But people travel, several hours sometimes to get to them. So getting back to your question, I think I digressed there a little bit. Just not being emotional, being patient, being open-minded, and definitely listening to the people around me is the best thing I can do for myself and for this company.
I say this all the time, and it's not, our success is a long time coming, because it was challenging in the first few years, because we weren't looking. We thought we would open a barbecue restaurant with the name Sweet Baby Ray's, and there'd just be automatically a line out the door naively, and just had to learn every step of the way. From the first time we opened, we had the brisket pre-sliced in a pan sitting on the line, and pre-pulling the pork, and just had a menu that was too big for the type of place it was. And there was just so many lessons to learn. And over the years, we looked at it more as a business instead of that, something Dave was putting money towards, that eventually it's just, everything's going to click. And it just didn't happen that way, which is great, because I got to learn so many lessons along the way, and we stuck around long enough for us to learn and still be successful. But that's the thing I was going to say, is that the most important part of our business is our team. And there's no way I could do it or want to do it by myself. And everyone's got their role. And I see exactly what you're saying. It sounds like your dad and Uncle Dave are very similar, and I'm able to take a deep breath and step back and be a little more analytical. But I had to learn that too,
I told my dad one time, I meant it and with sincerity. I said, Dad, I've learned as much what not to do by watching you than what I need to do. And he was taken aback by that, but I mean, I saw him make a lot of mistakes firsthand. And some of it was, just pure passion driven by him. Some of it was kind of him trying to show me how to do it. And it a mistake's not a mistake if you learn from it.
Exactly.
I just picked up so much of the things that my dad did, and and just really tried to absorb what everybody's opinion was that was involved, and try to not have too much bias. And well, that's my dad, and he's the owner, and he's right. So,
is your dad still around today?
No, we lost him in 2021.
Oh, same as my dad.
Yeah. I thought that Larry. I thought they passed within just actually a few months. September of 21, we lost.
My dad was in May, I believe.
Yeah,
just passed.
But we had. He kept kind of trying to tell me how to run the business, and we both had the same goals in mind and like benchmarks. We just had different paths of getting there.
Right.
And I finally told him one time. I mean, I actually tried to quit on him. He
oh no.
he was trying to get me to talk to our local senator, or the Tennessee senator, and like, these are great for military. It's like, I don't disagree, but that's an impossible network to breach if you don't have the credentials. Like, it's just impossible. And he just ragged on me for like just literally a couple 3 years. And he was also wanting to start these small franchises, basically almost just like a small trailer that's kind of independent, would have a washing station and basically everything you would need to do for a catering. But he wanted those to be Southern Pride owned and to franchise those. And like, man, that's a great idea. Like, somebody should do that, not us. Like, who's going to manage this? Where are these people going to store these smokers? Who's going to take care of the payment if they don't pay it? Like, he doesn't see that though. He's like, well, let's make that somebody else's problem. This is the dream that I want to follow. So let's do this. So I ended up quitting on him. I actually wrote a letter of resignation and submitted it. And he said, F you, get back to work. And I'm so glad he did. I'm glad that he didn't call my, didn't let me, it didn't falling out. But it was a point where he's like, man, okay, this isn't good for us. And he kind of, at that point is when he had already made me president, but to a certain degree in title only.
Yeah.
He was still, would remind me that he's the CEO pretty often.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where he just kind of backed off, and then almost to a fault. Like, then I got to where when we talk about it, he didn't really want to talk about work. But mostly through the conversation, it would end up, we'd get all riled up, and it's like, oh, here we are again.
Yeah.
He's giving me orders to do this, and I'm like, man, that's just not how this works, and that's not the direction we need to go. So, family business is the best, the most awesome and challenging things ever, because he was my dad first most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's first, boss second.
It's, people talk a lot about business, it's professional, not personal. And with a family business, those lines are really blurry.
Sure.
And it's hard not to take things personal when you have so much invested in the company and you're there every day and you've seen it evolve over the years. And when somebody challenges you on it, it's definitely tough to take it with a grain of salt and not take it personally.
Yeah, I told my dad one time, I said, I get it, Dad. Nobody's told you what to do since you were 18. He looked me dead in the eye. He said, no, son, 17. And I said, I actually survived telling him no a couple times. One time in Chicago at NRA, Mike can attest to this. We sat down after a long day at the trade show, and I don't recall even what it was, but he said something. I said, you can't do that. And he lost his mind. Like,
oh my gosh.
We didn't make a scene in the restaurant, but what do you mean? You can't like it. And I probably could have worded it different. It'd been a little softer, but I think at the time it was almost a subconscious delivery because he needed to hear.
Yeah.
Like, he was my toughest competitor. He was my toughest customer, but I think I'm the only person on earth that's ever told the guy no and lived to tell about it. You know? And I appreciate for all the times that I would give him pushback that he never fired. So,
my dad had just such a similar personality where, there was only like one or two people on earth that would give him a hard time.
Yeah.
Because he was such kind of a gruff guy and always used to being in charge and being the executive chef and owner of businesses and growing up the time that they grew up. And my dad had a rough childhood. They grew up on welfare on the west side of Chicago. And, he had a certain way about him that nobody really wanted to mess with him that much. So,
yeah. But he didn't need, they didn't need any more yes men either. They don't need just somebody to say yes and just, so it definitely just in the food service industry, especially in the barbecue genre, so much of this is family oriented. is passed on from generation to generation. And really just, it's unfortunate. So many people just have no idea, first of all, how hard it is to operate a restaurant. I mean, you know, first responders and military, they're putting their lives on the line. But when you get into, you know, education, healthcare, and food service, it takes a certain kind of person to be in those industries. And not to take away from several others, but the ones that come to mind, you just, man, between the stress and worry and the thin margins that restaurants live on and the turnover, and it's just, you know, every role is critical. And, you know, your kitchen manager, like, you can't do without the kitchen manager. Like, it all starts there, and you just, everybody plays an important role. And it's just amazing how fantastically challenging that it is, but also rewarding. Because if you can make success out of it, I know on a personal level, there's nothing that I enjoy more than feeding somebody brisket or ribs for the first time, and then it's a life-changing experience. I have a lot of friends that I've ruined barbecue for them. They're like, man, I can't go to a restaurant. You know, no brag, just fact. I'd like, man, your ribs ruined me. I can't order a slab of ribs anywhere I go because they're just too good. And I'll also say it didn't start off that way. You know, my ribs and chicken and brisket are better now than they were 20 years ago when I started.
Yes.
So just having one of these smokers doesn't just automatically make it work. You still have to figure it out.
Oh, for sure.
So,
and you definitely have to keep an eye on things. I mean, the Southern Pride does what it's supposed to do, but you still got to take it out at the right time and treat it with a little love and respect and know what you're doing to an extent, for sure.
Yeah, one of the hardest things I have today, because I'm not doing it every day, you know. I mean, I cook a lot, but just seasoning, like I under season it or over season it, that's the hardest part for me. Is I just want to make sure that I get, you know, I feel like I'm always doing outside, and you know, it's always windy. Like, it never, if you're trying to season a slab of ribs, it's 12-mile-per-hour wind guaranteed. Doesn't matter where you are. So unless you're inside. But
so your plant, when they started producing all the Southern Prides, was in Illinois, and then you moved to Tennessee. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we started in Johnson City, Illinois, and then they quickly outgrew that first facility and moved to Marion, Illinois. And that was on the east side of town. And then after, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 years at that location, they outgrew it. My dad had built on more buildings and more pole barns, and they were still just busting at the seams. So in 2004, he built a building from ground up on the west side of Marion. And that's actually when he got me involved, was in 2005. And when I came to work for him,
that's when we opened our restaurant too. It was 2005.
We were going gangbusters, man. We had Famous Dave's, Sonny's, Bandanas, Smoky Bones, Chili's. Like, I walked into this business, and there were all this chain business. I mean,
wow,
it just couldn't build them fast enough. And
that's amazing.
And we were looking for growth, and we thought that if we were going to grow, we would rather perhaps try getting out of Illinois. From Tennessee, we found this facility here that's 60 or 70 years old. We found it on LoopNet one night and bought it. Came down, looked at it, bought it, tried opening up down here, but we quickly realized we weren't going to be able to shift what our operation was up there to down here in a short amount of time. You just we had a redundancy of things. You had to have 2 sets of desks, a second secretary, and to try to piecemeal everything down. Nor was our management on board with it, because they didn't really want to see us in any way exit Illinois. So we did that for a little while, shut down what we had down here in Tennessee, took it back to Illinois, and in January of 2009, a roof collapsed. And at the time, I thought it was devastating, and it was going to put us out of business.
Wow.
We battled with our insurance company, and it was a whole nother job on top of a job. Like, it was one of the most stressful things I've had to deal with. However, because this building was still here and it was for sale, our insurance company was going to move us into the Circuit City building next door that was vacant, get our operations going, rebuild the building that had just collapsed, and then move us again. And my dad said, "Hey, I've got this beautiful building down here in Tennessee that's it's ready for us to go. How about you just move us down there and don't rebuild?" Of course, the insurance company's like, "Well, heck yeah," because they just went their cost of having to rebuild a $3.5 million building. plus support us on the business interruption side. So 57 or so tractor trailer loads later, we were here in Tennessee, and we happened to have a few chili smokers that had survived the collapse. Happened at 2 a.m, thankfully. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
And it was a 150-foot free-span building, and just an epic amount of snow and ice accumulated on the roof over the course of a couple days, and the roof just gave way.
Wow.
So that all went that way, and we all came this way, and we're just 175 miles from home, so it's close enough that I get to visit, pretty often, but far enough away that my in-laws don't come down too often, as I often joke about.
Now, when you said Marion, something went off in my head. Is that where we talked about this a little bit beforehand? But is that where Old Hickory is based out of? Is Marion, Illinois?
No, they're in Cape Girardeau.
Cape Girardeau. But also, I always thought it was so cool that the two biggest commercial smoker companies are started in Illinois, and that I just don't think people realize that at all.
Yeah, they're in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, but they were, probably just about 2 hours away.
Oh, so not in, I thought it was, okay.
Yeah,
so I thought it was
Cape Girardeau, Missouri. It's, they're a little southwest
Kyle's
of us,
gonna
on
have
the
to
other
edit
side,
that.
other side of the river. So
that's, you can show how good I am at geography.
Hey, that's all right. No, you're not too far off. They're still oddly close together, but there's kind of a reason for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the very first model that David came up with, and let me tell you how he came up with it. So about 51 years ago, David owned a restaurant called Port Cape. It's still running today. He doesn't own it today, but back then, their smoker had their firebox right underneath the meat. Like your traditional barbecue style. Well, after the fire department showed up for the third time, David's like, there's got to be a better way to do smoked meats. So thus he's like, I need to separate the cooking chamber and the firebox, where all that grease is falling and everything like that. So that's where he came up with the idea of, hey, let's separate it. Let's put it off to the side and keep the grease catch completely separate from that. And that's what we did and everything like that. So after some years of working with it and everything like that, we just really found out that that's the way to do it. You don't have to worry about fires. Your health inspectors, your local inspectors, fire marshals, insurance, all started to love the idea that we don't have to worry about a barbecue pit going in a commercial setting, burning up. Thus, Old Hickory Pits was born.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. I was wondering if there was some spying going on at one point or something with one of the two, if they were that close together.
Yeah, so the Brand X, as we called them, David Knight had a restaurant in Cape Girardeau back in the early 70s, or maybe even late 60s. And as his story goes, after the third time the fire trucks came, they realized they had to do something different. And then he goes on to say pit design. Well, the difference that he found was Southern Pride. He discovered Southern Pride and bought a smoker for, I think it was Pruitt's.
Okay.
I want to say, I don't know, some of this, it's so far back in my memory, and it's not something I just daydream about, and he, like a lot of other people, realized like what it did for his business. And he actually became the first distributor of ours.
Okay.
David and his dad, Wallace, and I were the first set of distributors for us. And I'll give this to David. He's passionate about barbecue. Like he's, I think they've had a lot of success prior to the restaurant. I think David was taught at the college level. I think his dad was in finance. They were doing pretty well upon this time. So they were a distributor from, I think, St. Louis to the east, and my dad and another couple guys took St. Louis to the west. And over time, the first thing that really happened was we went from that round pit, as I was describing, like the barrels, to the manufacturable kind that were basically welded together square boxes. And Wallace and I just didn't agree with that. He thought that something about the round pit helped the airflow and that it was part of the magic. And per my dad, that he basically walked out of whatever meeting they were in, and then he departed. So David stuck around for a while. The sales weren't what my dad was, thought they should be, so they parted ways. So then David went off and started Old Hickory.
Oh, wow.
So I think everybody else...
I had no idea. You learned all this having these deep conversations. That's amazing.
We definitely have a checkered past. I was born and raised to strongly dislike them. It was pretty nasty for a while. It's it created a lot of bad, but also competition's good. And imitation is the highest form of flattery. Not a lot of folks know that. They just from 50 feet away, if you look at them, it looks like the same equipment. Well, there's a reason why it looks like the same equipment, because he basically came in and built the same kind of apparatus. I like to brag on the fact that you can't go to Ace Hardware and buy buttons, knobs, and switches. Everything that goes into our equipment is industrial made or specifically specified for our equipment. We use high temperature grease in our bearings. Our chains are pre-stressed. The gears are hardened. We're all stainless steel inside and out now.
And one thing that I feel sets you apart, and I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but one of our best catering clients was Amada. The steel. You describe what they do, because
we have Amada equipment here, and that's what we use for our fabrication. We have two Amada lasers and 3 Amada press brakes,
and that's what cuts the metal basically to build the boxes. But that's all the best equipment that you can buy, and I will attest to Amada spends money on showing off their equipment, because they were our top catering client for years, and all that was doing was they were flying people in to see how their equipment worked. And you've been to their showroom in Schaumburg, I'm sure.
Actually, I know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't, but
so they have this. It's when you go to an Amada event, it's like going to the Four Seasons Hotel. They put on a show, they wine you, they dine you. Because every piece of equipment is at least $1 million, I'm assuming, or something close to that.
Pretty close to it.
Yeah, because the way they treat these people is like everyone's a VIP, a guest of honor. Yeah, and so I was so impressed when I found out that Southern Pride uses Amada equipment to help build at least a component of that's
smoker. Where it all starts. I affectionately say that's the Southern Pride of our operation. That's the very first part of it. If our lasers are down, it kills everything. It stops the whole process. We got to cut everything first, and then we got to fold everything or bend everything on the press brakes. But I can believe it, because what we paid for our 2 Amadas and what the annual fees are for keeping service, service and maintenance agreements are more than what people are buying our smokers for. It's about what an SPK 500 costs on an annual basis. It's maybe good for 2 years, but it seems like it comes around every 6 months. So, it's
an amazing company.
We have a tremendous amount of overhead that's one of the things that my dad it was certainly great about, and I'm certainly on board with, is reinvesting in the company. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was about 7 or 8 years old when he got his first turret punch. And this is more a machine that stamps stuff out. It's loud. Mm-hmm. It just kind of chips away at things. It leaves burrs on things. But he took my brother and I down there, and he turned it on. And he was just so excited about what that technology was going to be able to do to improve the entire, not only the smokers, but the process itself. And it was in 2006, I think, that we bought the laser. And I remember the same emotions when we fired it up. Like, man, the capabilities that and the precision that this is going to be able to provide for us was just, I get goosebumps about me. I'm as geeked out about the manufacturing side, and maybe almost just a little bit more than I get on the barbecue side, because I get the best of both worlds.
That's so cool.
And it's just neat to get to experience how exciting that is to reinvest in equipment like that. And I mean, people that buy Southern Prides, I think they get, it's exciting when they get delivered and they unwrap them 100%. And fire it up, and it's like Christmas Day.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about our new restaurant. So we're definitely going to have to figure out what size smoker. We have some drawings and renderings and stuff. I got something right in front of you. We'll take a second and I'll show you over screen, but I'll send you a snapshot. This is the outside, which just gets you excited just by itself.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's sharp, man. That's nice.
And then this is
modern, but still barbecue-y.
Yeah, it's good. And the inside's the same thing, modern, but still barbecue. And that's going to be the theme by the whole thing. This you can see less. This, I don't know if this is worth showing, but this is the kitchen. And then,
yeah, I see a spot for Southern Pride right there.
Southern Pride's right there. So I don't know exactly what size. We'll have to work on that and figure out which one it's going to be. But I'm excited about it, and I definitely invite you up when we get it all up and running.
That'd be awesome. And, you're always welcome to come down here. I know you're just doing this in May, and I know that's overwhelming to try to make it. We're just about an hour and 20 minutes away. But, I'd love to have you here at the factory to give you a tour and show you what this is all about. But
yeah, definitely. What did I want to ask? So
I can say, as far as figuring out which smoker you need, this is, I don't want this to be salesy. This is obviously to promote our brands and help us both help each other. But
sure.
For the most part, when people are looking for a smoker, the first thing they have is what are your capacity needs? What do you think? How many pounds of pork or whatever do you think you need? Where are you going to put it? How much available space do you have? And then your budget. And those three things are pretty much what drive people into what suits them the best for what equipment they need. So
for me, it's going to be exactly how much size it is, and I think what I wanted to get is a 700 in there. So hopefully, because I know that with that capacity, I'll be set for a while, because the current restaurant runs off of that 600 or 650, whatever it's rated.
XLR 600.
600. And so I think it's going to be similar volume, hopefully busier, because it's going to have a drive-through, and that's what I'm really excited about too.
Yeah, we have in a 700. You're familiar with those because you have them, but they have to have 12-inch deep racks, because at the time we didn't offer them. But we have a 700 now. You can either get 12-inch deep racks and 5 hangers, or you can go with 18-inch deep racks, and it cuts it down to 4. I'm sorry, I think it's 6 hangers with a 12-inch deep, and then it cuts it down to 4 hangers with 18-inch deep. So that would be something to take a look at. The 18-inch deep actually can handle more weight, especially larger cuts.
Sure.
You can still do a really nice job with ribs and chicken, but for pork butts and brisket, it does a great job. Whereas the 700 with the 12-inch racks, it does a pretty good job with heavy cuts too, but it does a little better with the ribs and chicken. So something I'd be happy to, I'd be excited to talk to you further about outside of the podcast, and
sure,
then help you figure out.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely make sure it's the right fit. What else is new, or what else are you guys working on that you can share up and coming for Southern Pride?
Well, a few things. One of them's not new. We brought it out in 2013, but it's the SRG 400, and basically it's a gas-fired wood-burning smoker, but we took out the rotisserie system to make the footprint much more compact.
Okay,
and we. The challenge on the sales side of that was everybody thinks that the rotisserie or understands that rotisserie is part of the magic with evenness and the self-basting. But really in this 400, everything still from the top rack down, other than the top rack, is self-basted. It all drips on each other.
Right.
And we actually got a patent on the airflow to where the airflow is extraordinarily consistent, front to back, left to right, top to bottom. So that actually was the first smoker to overtake the SPK 500 in sales. SPK 500 came out in 1993 or 4, and it's been our top selling model up until the SRG 400 came along.
Is that the one that they had at the Smoke Steak restaurant that
Yes.
I saw? So, and now that I'm thinking about it, one, you showed, I think earlier last year, we were talking about that and we were looking at the details on that. But then since then, I've been to a number of different like convention centers and stuff, and I've seen them in there. So like hotels can add a smoking component to it where it fits right in on their line.
Yeah, it's just so compact and it's easy. You know, we ship it common carrier. So they receive it. They take off the top of the crate. It's got a ramp on it so you can roll it right off. You roll it under the hood, you plug it into 110 outlet, you gas it up, and it's ready, you know, ventilate. You have under a hood, but
sure.
And then you're ready to go. So it has opened up a lot of doors for us in places that you just don't have room for an SPK 500 or even the next size down. What used to be the SPK 280 is now the SPX 300. But even those, it's almost, you know, it's the size of a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
So we basically, by taking that rotisserie out, we were really able to consolidate the footprint, and it's opened up a lot of sales that we normally wouldn't have got just because people don't have the kitchen space. And as you know, the kitchen space in the restaurant is that's
the
most cherished real estate that you have.
Prime real estate for sure.
So as a spinoff of that, we're just now starting to introduce the SRG 800, where it's not as tall, or it's just kind of wider and not quite as tall. The cabinet doesn't go as low to the ground.
Okay.
But it'll hold 72 10-pound pork butts. So it's a 720, but we already had a 700, so we the nomenclature is SRG 800.
Okay.
But it's basically the same DNA. It's got it looks a whole lot like the SRG 400. We just widened it and kind of shrunk it a little. So
okay.
It's where we just sold our first one. Actually, one of our distributors bought the first one. He's wanting to use it in his test kitchen, and we've tested it a lot, but it'll be good for him to get a hold of it first to do a true field test and give us, you know, basically the Southern Pride check mark that, yeah, man, it fits the rest of the family. Because the 400 was slow to get going because everybody just was scared of not having that rotisserie.
Caught up on the rotisserie.
But then once they realized that it met the quality of the rest of the line, it quickly became our number one selling smoker.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing that it's the number one selling smoker.
Yeah. And then we also have the SC100 that my dad had that back in the late 90s and early 2000. And I think they discontinued it. Southern Pride discontinued it in 2004. Just the sales just weren't there. And with social media these days, I think it's a good, if it weren't for social media, I don't think we would have brought it back to life. But we value engineered it. We brought it with today's technology. It's all stainless steel inside and out. The one thing with it is it doesn't have a fan in it. And that fan's a big part of the magic. So it's not, I won't say that it's not quite on the level of any of the rest of our models because it doesn't have the fan. It still puts out really good barbecue. It just takes about 30% longer to, like if I'm going to cook baby back ribs at 240 degrees for 3 hours in my rotisserie, it's going to take about 30% longer to do that when you take the fan in. But man, we're pricing it real aggressively. We lessen the discount to the distribution network. I think it's $38.95.
Okay,
which is still a lot of money, but I mean, the next size up is the SC300, and it's $12,618. You know, that's the cheapest smoker. You know, the least expensive smoker that we have to offer. So we think this would be good for like, you know, country clubs, maybe some bar and grills, or people that don't have an extensive menu, that have a limited menu, or just want to add some smoked items to it. I'll say we just introduced it not quite a year. It's not been a year, and we've already almost sold 50, and our goal was 50 in the first year.
Nice.
But it's 110 power, so you can plug it up. You know, that's a big deal too. You don't have to have 208 power to get it fired up. So it's really meant for commercial use, but we also see some nice backyards, perhaps, you know, being interested in it. And
sure,
that's not too hefty of a bill for somebody who's just a real barbecue enthusiast and wants to, you know, just have a really great smoker. It's all 304 stainless steel. I mean, it's going to last. it's going to last decades and decades as well. It would be the last smoker you would ever have to buy. As far as, a lot of
That's
these,
a good way to market it too.
You buy them and they last, maybe, I don't know, it depends on how much you use it, but 5, 6, 7 years, and then you throw it away. But so this would be the last one you would ever have to buy. So
what's the largest Southern Pride?
So currently the SPK 500 is the largest. What did I just say?
No, not that.
No.
The 500.
SPK 1400. The SPK 1400 is currently our largest smoker. It'll do about 1,400 pounds in one cook cycle. We've been working on the 2000 since 2019 or 2020.
Okay.
It's the old XLR 1600-4. We're basically bringing it back, but it's in the panelized version compared to the old welded together mild steel. For USDA it would be stainless steel, but it's been a real challenge to try to get that kind of capacity in the way that we build the smokers today. But we're down to the 1 yard line. Actually, we're ready to send it to ETL.
Yeah.
And, I've got it in the back. I almost wanted to do this whole thing with it in the background because we've got a little over 2,000 pounds of cinder blocks in it that have that we've been testing it for over 2,000 hours now.
Oh, wow.
Just to make sure it'll carry the load. We want it to not only be great for ribs and chicken, but we want it to carry a full capacity of briskets and pigs.
What kind of operation buys a 1,400 or potentially a 2,000 pound smoker?
1,400s, we get in quite a few restaurants. Corky's, that's their weapon of choice. I hope people don't mind me. Sometimes people don't want people to know part of what their magic is.
Yeah.
But like Four Rivers, they use 1,400. There's quite a few customers that actually can justify a 1,400.
Yeah.
The 2,000 is pretty much exclusively meat packaging.
Right.
Corky's has been a longtime customer of ours. They have a meat packaging side of their business. And the nice thing is if you need one 2,000, you probably need somewhere between 8 and 12 of them.
Yeah.
And what they do is they'll have a USDA plant and they'll put them all through the wall installations where just the front of the smoker is flush mounted.
Yep.
And the back of the smoker sits outside, and you'll just see them lined up in this barn, just one, here's one, and then 5 feet later, here's another and another and another. And, we're real excited to have that back. I don't think there's a tremendous market for it. We expect to sell about 15 a year, would be enough to justify bringing it back.
Yeah.
But we get a call for them pretty frequently, and it breaks my heart every time somebody asks for one and us not to be able to make it available to them. So we're real excited about getting that through past ETL and getting it on our new website that we're getting ready to launch as well. We've been working for 2 years on a new website, and
well, you guys have done a good job with your kind of rebrand and the new logo and some of the new content that I've seen, just like the image, the videos, kind of like the slow roll, and I've been really enjoying it.
Awesome. Yeah, actually, I meant to send you. We've got just a 1.5-minute video. We've never really had a commercial per se, and we're a technical company. Like we're not real salesy. This is what it does for you. If we can put food in people's mouth, that's pretty much like, that's really what takes care of it. I remember Barry Sorkin, when they were out shopping around, he got a hold of our distributor up there in Chicago, and he said, "Man, we throw in some chicken and some ribs. We ate it." He's like, "That's not exactly what we want, but we can tweak it, and that's going to work." And one of the nicest things he ever said was, "Man, you guys take the barbecue smoking out of the equation. Like, you don't have to think about it. Like, it's dependable, it's reliable. I mean, it's man-made, and the components that we buy from the suppliers, even though they're industrial, they break. Like, things happen. But for him to just be like, man, we just don't have to worry about that side of the business,
Yeah, right.
So that's another high compliment from somebody with a lot of street cred.
That's right. For sure.
Yeah. So
awesome, Jared. Well, this has been awesome. I really appreciate the background, and I definitely learned some stuff today. So thank you for taking the time.
Hey, it's a pleasure to get an invitation for somebody with your background and your success. The fact that you're a bona fide chef, I know you're classically trained. It's a high honor to have an invitation. I can't thank you enough for being a long-term customer and continuing your patronage and your loyalty to Southern Pride. Like, it's
100%. I want to open 50 Deuces Wild restaurants with Southern Pride, so I'm hoping.
We want to do. I knew you were wanting to open the next one. I didn't know what your plan was for franchising, but we're always here to do all we can to support you. And we're, I think we've got great smokers and we have great follow-up service beyond the sale. And this is the best part of my job.
Is Rich Wood still the guy to talk to in Chicago? Or
Rich retired 2 years ago.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, a fella, Dimitri, took over. He bought it from him, and he's been doing it now. Time flies. It's probably been 2 or 3 years. But,
I thought I heard that. Maybe we had that conversation before. But Beth from Equipment Dynamics, I don't know if you've talked to her before.
That name,
she's huge in the restaurant design side of the business, and she knows Southern Pride, and she knew Rich Wood. And I said, I think he might have retired. So
yeah, he did. He finally he put up with as long as he could put up with us, and it's Dimitri's been great. It was a short learning curve for him.
Okay,
he's very passionate. He's got a restaurant background.
Okay,
he's also he's just a great guy, and we'll be happy to put you in touch, and we'll do all we can to help get you suited up with whatever you need, and
definitely
do whatever we can to get you as many franchisees as you could possibly have.
So. I'll take it back a notch. Let's get the first one up and running, and then we'll do the rest.
Yeah,
one at a time.
Yeah,
but
it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. This isn't usually my forte, but I like to think of myself as a champion of the brand, and anything we can do to help each other out, I think is just great. So
100%. No, this has been real good. Thanks, Jared.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Chef. Appreciate it.